So late last week, it was revealed that two more Republican lawmakers, Senator Mike Lee and Representative Chip Roy, were among the individuals that were working with the Trump administration for at least some period of time to help them overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election, and at one point had even proposed and were on board with the plan to send the alternate slate of electors on January 6th. But then something interesting happened. According to these text messages that have now been revealed, which the text messages were sent from the lawmakers to Mark Meadows, a back and forth between each pair there, these lawmakers eventually started to question Meadows, where the hell's the evidence? You know, we're on board with this, they say. We're ready to go. Tell us what to say. We need to know what to tell people. We need a way to justify this, so you've got to share this evidence because what we've seen so far doesn't cut it. And then, as Meadows continued to obviously not be able to turn over any evidence because no evidence existed because this was all based on lies, the two lawmakers ended up souring on the whole thing, and then they started saying things like this. Here it is. We simply have no authority to reject a state's certified electoral votes in the absence of a dueling slates, with the Trump slate coming from a state legislative determination, said Senator Mike Lee on January 4th. Then you have the text from Chip Roy who say, the president should call everyone off. It's the only path. If we substitute the will of the states through electors with a vote by Congress every 4 years, we have destroyed the Electoral College, respectfully. If POTUS allows this to occur, we're driving a stake in the heart of the federal republic. So all through December and even, late November, they're texting Mark Meadows, we're totally on board, dude. Give us this evidence. We're going to go out there. We're going to make this happen. And then by the beginning of January, they said, you've given us nothing, dude. You can't do this. You have to stop. Trump has to call these people off. You can't do this. And it's all because Mark Meadows was unable to turn over any evidence whatsoever. Now that's the backstory, right? Those are the things that already happened. So let's talk about things that could happen in the future. Because these text message exchanges here blow a massive hole in Donald Trump's only possible legal defense. Here's what I mean by that. Legal experts have already said that if Donald Trump does in fact get charged for his plot to try to overthrow the election, whether it's the alternate slates of electors, whether it's, trying to confiscate the voting machines using DHS or the FBI or the Pentagon or the National Guard, which yes, all of those were things that were proposed, it would appear, according to legal experts, I know we disagree with this, folks, but in a court of law, Donald Trump could justify those actions if he legitimately believed the election had been stolen and there was significant voter fraud and he wanted that fraud to be investigated and exposed. These text messages show that the administration itself, of course, Mark Meadows being the guy that they're texting with, Trump's chief of staff, knew there was no evidence. He knew there was no evidence, which means the administration knew there was no evidence, which means there is no legal justification whatsoever for the things that Trump wanted to do. So again, his only defense would be that he thought he was doing the right thing as president of the United States. These text messages tell us that he knew he wasn't. Now, of course, all of this hinges on whether or not Merrick Garland wants to launch an investigation and proceed with charges against Donald Trump. And if he does, I don't want to say it's a slam dunk at this point, but it is about as close to a slam dunk as you can get. But that's 100% up to Merrick Garland at this point, folks. Thanks for watching, and if you like what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe to our Ring of Fire channel here.